Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing my April TBR. So if I'm looking a bit of a mess, it's because I'm pretty sure I'm getting a cold and I'm not feeling 100%. So that's great. There's also multiple other things that we need to talk about before we get into this. So number one is, did I complete my March TBR? Yes. I'm filming this early. I'm presuming I will have finished, but I will definitely have started every single book on my TBR. Number two is, I know that Magical Readathon is in April, and I usually participate every single year. I have since either 2019 or 2020. I'm not 100% sure. I've been participating. And I will probably participate this year, but like I'm not like gonna actually make a TBR. I'm gonna probably just like read what I want and squeeze them into the prompts. So yeah. Number three is, I wasn't even 100% sure I wanted to film a TBR this month, as in using my TBR game, because I kind of have decided to set my own challenge for myself, and I was like, well, if I use the TBR game, it could actively hinder my idea for my little April challenge, and that is that I want to basically only read books off my physical TBR for April. And obviously I'm okay making exceptions with this if I just like, you know, really want to read a specific book and I don't have it physically. Obviously that is fine, but there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one is, I have barely been reading anything off my physical TBR. Like maybe like only a handful of books off my physical TBR I have read this year, which is bad. And I've read like 45 books so far this year, and so few of them have been from my physical TBR, which is kind of a problem, because these books should be read because I bought them, because that meant I really wanted to read them. And so I think there's a couple of things that are making this the case. I have been in such an audiobook mood. I would say, have a pretty decent split between like audios and like reading with my eyeballs. Like I usually have a pretty good, and then like I mix and match them and all of that. But this year I would say probably 80% of my reading has been audiobooks, and like sometimes with the physical, but a lot of time just audiobook by itself. Like a lot of audiobooks I've been listening to. I do kind of miss physically reading, and so I want to just like set some time aside, and I thought April's a good month to do that because like Ramadan is just over. I can like just choose the really chunky books, which is the second part, is all of the books on my physical TBR are very big. Like almost all of them are like over 500 pages, and I think maybe like 3 of them the audiobooks are available for. So like I have to read them all physically, and so that's very daunting. So that's like, you know, a couple of reasons why. So like I just thought April was a good month to do it. I'm just like, I'm not really going to care about the amount of books that I read, just like I want to read as many physical books as I can. And also I am going on holidays for a week in April, so who knows how many books I'll get read. Probably not that many in that week anyway. Let's get into it. Okay, so we finished on horror the last time, so let's just jump straight on into it and see how many spins we're doing this month. 1. Okay, I mean that works out. So spin number 1. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A romance. Okay. That doesn't really actually work for my plans, which is very ironic, since so there's one mandatory book I have to read and it doesn't really fit my plans. Whoops. So yeah, I mean, on the one hand I should be happy because, oh my god, only 1 spin, woo. But romance, I don't have any romance books on my physical TBR, so that immediately throws out the whole only read books from your physical TBR. Like, no, you're actually gonna already have to either read an audiobook or an ebook or whatever. You're gonna have to go somewhere. I'm not 100% sure what I will read for this, but I probably am going to read one of T. Kingfisher's fantasy romances, because I don't have a fantasy romance page, so I think romance counts. So I became a little in love with T. Kingfisher's fantasy romance specifically because from like 2020 to 2023 I read 4 of her books, and each one of those I gave 3 or 4, like a low 4. I just did not vibe with hers, but those are the books that she classifies as her fantasy books. And then I read Sword Heart, which she classifies as a fantasy romance, which it is a fantasy romance, and I love that book. I give it 5 stars. And then I read The Clockwork Boys and the Wonder Engine, which is the duology set in the same world. It's called Sword Heart, but it was written first. And she also includes those as fantasy romance, but I would actually call those fantasy. Maybe the second book fantasy romance, but like really not much romance happens in the first book. So like I wouldn't really call them, but it takes place in the same world. I gave both of those 4 stars, really enjoyed those. So now I'm all of a sudden like, I do like T. Kingfisher. I didn't think that she was the author for me, but I was wrong. At the point of filming this, I am probably going to read Paladin's Grace in March. Like it'll probably be one of my last books of the month, but I think I'll probably read the sequel. But if not, I'll read some other romance books. So basically, I'm kind of leaving it open, but I'm probably going to read Teen Kingfisher. And also, I do want to buy those books physically. They're just really hard to buy because they have gotten picked up by Orbit, I think. And so they're all going to be republished. And so, like, I'm trying to buy the original covers because I like those. But, like, if they get pretty new covers, I'll also probably buy them, let's be honest. But they're really hard to track down. But who knows, maybe I will buy that before I actually read it, and so it'll be fine. Let's talk about my grand plans, because as I mentioned, there's a lot of books that I want to read. So basically, I'm not going to really show you. You are currently sitting on top of my TBR. The Art of Prophecy, Tyrant's Throne, Tempest of Tea, Malice, Shaman's Crossing, Fool's Quest, Assassin's Fate, The Kingdom of God, Jade War, Jade Legacy, Grace of Kings, Lies of Lockamora, Promise of Blood, Mime Order, The Bone-Charred Daughter, Theft of Swords, The Copper Promise, The Rage of Dragons, Kingsbane, Lightbringer, and then a load of the Illumicrate books that I also have not read yet. Okay, so I have a couple of like little vlog ideas that I'm gonna do. Basically, I'm gonna just use a spinner wheel for like just do a vlog, use a spinner wheel, pick books off my physical TBR. Sounds fun, yeah? And there is a couple of books that I will have to take off because either they're like the 3rd book and I haven't read the 1st or 2nd, or because I actually have a vlog for May that some of those books are included in, so I'll have to take those off. Obviously, I can't tell you what I'll be reading for that. You'll just have to stay tuned and find out, I guess. Vlog number 1, number 2, I don't know what order these would be getting done in. Is going to be reading my anticipated releases. I did like a kind of a series last year where I was just catching up on anticipated releases, and I guess I'm doing it again this year. So I currently have 2, but a 3rd one is coming out in April, so I'll read all 3 of those, and I will also be getting that, and it will be going directly onto my physical TBR, so it counts. So one of those is A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. I've heard mixed opinions on this. If we're being 100% honest, I don't really know what it's about. I know it involves vampires, and I think like she like trades secrets basically. Sounds interesting. And then the other one is The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. I love the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden. I don't know where it is. It's like up there. I love the Winter Night trilogy. I read it, oh, who knows when. Absolutely love that. Gave every single book 5 stars. I read Small Spaces, which is the 1st book in her middle grade series. I haven't continued that. Probably won't. I liked it. It was like a low 4-star. But I've been waiting for her to return to adult books. She has. This came out, I think, the end of February. So this is The Warm Hands of Ghosts. It is the Waterstones edition. Has lovely M papers. I think it takes place during the First World War, and a brother and a sister fight to find each other. That's what it says on the inside. So yeah, also this is a very pretty cover. So yeah, and then the 3rd book that will be included in this is A Court of Wanderers by Rinchi Pecco. This is the sequel and final book in like the Silver Under the Nightfall duology. I read the 1st one and gave it 5 stars. I loved that book, and I'm getting the Illumicrate editions, which are shipping in April, so hopefully I will get those pretty quickly, and I'll read that as soon as I can. I just want to do a video where I try and catch up on some Illumicrate books. My goal is to read 3, but I mean, if I have time, I'll read more. There's one that I'm definitely going to read, and that is To Cage a God by Elizabeth May. Mostly because, number 1, this is the one that I'm most excited for, because I saw this and was obsessed, and I saw these and was obsessed, and I was like, I need to read this and I need to love this. And also it has it's the only one of these that has the audiobook available. So my library has the audiobook. I currently have it. I'm sitting on it waiting for it. This is a guarantee. I will definitely read this in April. The others are up for debate. Obviously, Starling House was actually one. Like, I think that was the November pickup last year, and I have actually already read it. It's the only other great book I've read since I started. Then, so the other options, which if you read any of these and have an opinion, tell me. So, Voyage of the Damned by Frances White, Principle of the Moment by Esme Jacemi Pearson. I had it displaying outward like that because I think that blue is gorgeous. I know this is a sci-fi and it like takes place, there's time travel elements to it, which is fun. And I know this is like a murder mystery fantasy. And then the other option that we have is After the Forest by Kel Woods. This was the first one that I got. And yeah, this is a continuation of Hansel and Gretel. It takes place years down the line, and she and Gretel hears the witch's grimoire like calling to her. And then also I know that I have the March box, the March book on its way to me currently, and I can't remember what that is. I know the cover, it's like very pastel, so I also will have that to choose between as well. But either way, I need to read some of these. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.